Imagine, if you will, a seed. Just a single solitary seed.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm picturing it.
It's tiny, got this hard defensive casing, and it's buried in the pitch black under, I don't know, inches of heavy, damp soil.
Right. Silence.
It is completely silent. To an observer, it looks inert, dead even. And then something shifts. There's this visceral, microscopic tear, a crench, the casing splits, and suddenly life it just explodes out of it. It pushes against the weight of the earth. It seeks the light.
It's messy.
It's organic. It's messy. And honestly, it's kind of a miracle.
It is. It's nature's oldest, most reliable mechanism. It's biology 101.
Right. It's biology. But hold that image in your head. Because today we're going to try to convince you that this organic, messy, dirt under the fingernails process is actually, well, it's a computer program.
Or at least that the logic governing it is.
Yeah.
It's indistinguishable from high-fidelity code.
We're going to talk about the grace algorithm.
We are.
Welcome to the deep dive. And I am ready to unpack this because, frankly, the whole concept of grace has always bothered me.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's a thorn in my side.
Bothered you.
Yeah.
That is a strong reaction to a concept that's usually defined as divine kindness or unmerited favor.
See, that's just it.
Most people find it comforting.
Unmerited favor. That's the phrase. I'm an empiricist at heart. You know this about me.
I do.
I like cause and effect. I like inputs and outputs. I like the math to balance. You know, if A plus B equals C, I can sleep at night.
Sure.
But when you look at the traditional definitions of grace in theology and literature, even just how we talk about luck at a dinner party, it is the enemy of math.
Because it defies the equation.
Completely. It is, by definition, an outlier.
Yeah.
It's the guy who drives like a maniac, texts behind the wheel, cuts people off, does this for 20 years without a scratch.
Right.
Meanwhile, the careful driver, the one who follows every single rule, gets rear-ended at a stamp sign.
It feels arbitrary.
It feels like a lottery. And if the universe is run by a lottery system, that is genuinely terrifying to me.
Because it means the ultimate governing power isn't justice. No, it's caprice. It's random selection. You, not you. Saved, not saved. Promotion, layoff. Where is the logic in that? Why does one person get the break and the other doesn't?
It creates a universe where the operating system is. It's glitchy. Or worse, it's just indifferent.
Exactly. Indifferent. And I can't build a worldview on indifference, but you walked in here today with this stack of notes that looks like a doctoral thesis.
It's a bit much, I know.
Specifically focusing on the Quranic worldview and some comparative theology, and you claim this stack of paper is going to flip the table on my frustration.
I did. Because it's interesting you use the word logic. The source material we have today, and this is a deep analysis of the Quranic concept of Rahma, it argues that your frustration is actually correct.
Wait, correct in what way? That the universe is random?
No. That viewing grace as a lottery is a category error, a fundamental mistake.
Okay.
We're going to explore the idea that Rahma, which is usually translated as mercy, is not an emotional response. It's not God having a good hair day or something.
Right.
It's a sovereign intelligence system.
A system. You're using engineering terms for theology now.
I'm doing that intentionally.
Yeah.
The sources describe a precise mechanism of cause and effect. It's known as the Law of Recompense.
Well, Law of Recompense.
It argues that mercy isn't an accident, it's an output.
So we're moving from the philosophical debate of grace alone, which is, it's nebulous too, the moral multiplier effect.
That is exactly where we're going. But to appreciate the shift, I think we have to look at the landscape of favor as it currently stands in our cultural consciousness. We need to really understand the unmerited problem.
Let's do it. I've got the comparative notes here. So looking at the broad spectrum of how humans have tried to relate to the divine, there's this massive recurring theme of rescue.
The helicopter mom theory of God.
Basically, yeah. If we look at Christianity, specifically the Protestant tradition, you have the concept of sola gratia, grace alone.
Which posits what, specifically in this context?
That salvation is a gift. Explicitly. It is not based on works. The theology basically says, look, you can't jump across the Grand Canyon on your own. You need a bridge.
Right.
If you could earn it, it wouldn't be grace. It would be a wage. So it's a rescue operation for a humanity that's seen as fundamentally incapable of saving itself.
Okay.
Now, Catholicism and Orthodoxy add in human cooperation. You have to participate in the sacraments, that sort of thing. But the ignition switch is still that divine gift from the outside.
Right. It starts from the outside in. The primary agency is external.
Then you look at Judaism. You've got chanst or loving kindness. Now, this is a bit different because it's covenantal.
It's relational.
It is. It's about a contract or relationship, a mutual obligation. But even there, it's rooted in God's steadfast love, which often persists despite human failure. The Israelites mess up, God forgives. It's a cycle of rescue.
And if we look east, what do the notes say there?
It's surprisingly similar in some schools. Hinduism has prasada, or kripa.
Mm-hmm.
In the bhakti traditions, you're looking at liberation through the grace of a personal deity. Again, it often supersedes what you can do on your own, karma-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, even in Buddhism, which we usually think of as the ultimate do-it-yourself religion, pull yourself up by your spiritual bootstraps.
Sure.
You have Pure Land Buddhism.
Well, you rely on Amitabha.
Right. You rely on the Buddha-Martava's grace to get into the Pure Land because achieving enlightenment on your own is just too hard in this degenerate age. So the pattern across the board is humans are helpless, the system is rigged against us, and the divine provides a helicopter rescue.
Which brings us right back to your frustration. If it's a rescue mission,
why rescue him and not her? If I'm helpless and you're helpless and the helicopter only picks you up, that's not fair. That's a lottery.
And this is where we pivot. The source material we're deep diving into today, specifically the analysis of the Quranic term Rahma, it rejects the lottery premise entirely. It proposes that the helicopter doesn't show up randomly. It shows up because you built the landing pad.
Okay, that's a hook. Define Rahma for us in this context, because usually mercy just sounds like, well, pity.
And that's not it. In the Quranic worldview, Rahma is the active principle of divine recompense. It's described not as a mood, but as a legislative power.
Legislative, that's a cold word for mercy. I think of bureaucrats and red tape.
But think about what legislation actually does in a functioning society.
Yeah.
It creates a system where justice can operate predictably. It sets the rules of physics for the society.
Okay.
The sources argue that Rahma ensures that the universe operates on a reliable setting. It guarantees that growth is possible. It's the soil, the sun, and the rain, all guaranteed to work if you plant the seed.
So it's not the gift itself, it's the infrastructure that allows the gift to exist.
It's both. But here's the key distinction, and this was the aha moment for me reading through these notes.
What's that?
In this system, mercy is the inevitable consequence of human action.
Inevitable is a very strong word in science.
Yeah.
Gravity is inevitable.
Exactly. It's a direct, proportional return on investment. The terms used are iman, which implies conviction or security, and amal aliyah, righteous deeds, or you could say corrective action.
Okay.
The text argues that blessings, solace, guidance, they aren't random. They are the calculated output of your input.
Okay, so if I put in the coin, the machine dispenses the soda. That sounds... Oh, it sounds transactional.
It sounds transactional if you think of it as a vending machine. And a vending machine is simple. $1.50, Coke out.
Right.
But the sources want you to think of it as agriculture. And agriculture, it's exponential.
Oh.
This is where we get to the math.
The math. I've been waiting for the math.
Yes. We need to talk about the multiplier effect.
And this is based on that specific verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, right? Chapter 2, verse 261.
Correct. The sources highlight this verse as the cornerstone of the grace algorithm. It describes the process of infaq. Now, we need to define that term carefully.
Infaq generally translates to spending or giving wealth, charity.
It is charity, but the etymology suggests something like tunneling or passing something through to another side. The nuance here is spending wealth or effort in God's way.
Okay.
It's treated not as a loss like, oh, I gave away $10, now I have 10 less bucks, but as an ethical investment. And the Quran gives us a very specific formula for the ROI.
I have the visualization here in the notes. It starts with our seed.
So let's look at the code here. It asks you to visualize a single grain, 1 unit of input, $1, 1 hour of volunteering, 1 act of kindness.
Okay, I'm picturing it. 1 seed going into the ground.
You plant it. The verse says this single grain grows 7 years, or 7 shoots. Now pause there.
Okay.
In a standard agricultural model, a 1-to-7 ratio is already decent. If I give you $1 and you give me 7 back, I'm beating the S&P 500 by a massive margin.
Handily. I would take that deal any day of the week.
But the algorithm iterates. It keeps going. The verse continues. And in each ear, there are 100 grains.
Wait, so 7 shoots times 100 grains per shoot.
Do the math.
1 seed, 7 shoots, 100 grains per shoot. That's 700.
A 700x return.
That is, okay, hang on. That's not an investment strategy. That's a Ponzi scheme. That's cryptocurrency in 2017 numbers. It sounds like hyperbole.
And that's exactly what a skeptic would say. Oh, it's just poetry. God is just saying he'll give you a lot.
Right.
But the source analysis suggests this isn't hyperbole. It's a description of potentiality.
Right.
And notice the verse doesn't even stop at 700. It says God multiplies even further for whom he wills.
But to your point about this being a system requires tracking. If I have a Khudi account that pays 700% interest, the bank needs a massive infrastructure to track that liquidity.
Yes.
They need servers, accountants, compliance officers, the whole thing.
Which is why the verse ends with two specific attributes of God, Wasi and Alim.
Wasi means infinite, right? Encompassing.
Yes, all-encompassing or vast. And Alim means all-knowing.
So all-knowing is the data tracking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A multiplier that massive requires a knower capable of tracking every microscopic input. It implies a high-fidelity system where no data point, no tiny seed is ever lost.
Huh.
The source analysis points out that this is a quantitative recompense. The blessings aren't spontaneous magic. They are the calculated output of the input, the seed, the deed processed through a system with infinite capacity, which is Wasi.
It's interesting because usually when you talk about religious rewards, it's all very vague. You'll be blessed, good things will happen, karma will get you. But this is specific, it's algorithmic.
It's the grace algorithm. The output is guaranteed by the capacity of the system. If you plant the seed, and really plant it, the system is designed to yield a manifold increase. It's not spontaneous. It's the natural law of the spiritual universe, just like gravity is a law of the physical one.
Okay, but this triggers my skepticism again.
I knew it would. You're looking for the bug.
I am looking for the exploit, because if it's just math, can I hack it?
Hack it.
Yeah. If the input is giving money and the output is 700x return, can I just be a terrible person who writes big checks? Let's say I'm a CEO who exploits workers, pollutes the river, treats my family like Bert, but then I donate $1 million to the local hospital. Do I get my 700 million moral credits? Can I buy my way into grace?
The transactional loophole. You're looking for the glitch in the system.
Exactly. Because if the system is just input A equals output B, then the asshole billionaire wins. And that brings me right back to the unfairness problem.
Well, the sources anticipate this. This is where we move from quantitative recompense to qualitative recompense. There's a filter.
A spam filter for grace.
Essentially. The source material points us to the very next set of verses, Surah Al-Baqarah 2.262 through 264. It lays out the terms of service for the algorithm, and it's strict.
What are the terms?
To answer your question about hacking the system, the Quran gives us a counter-image to the seed. It describes a safwan.
Safwan.
It translates to a smooth, hard stone. Now imagine this large stone has been sitting out in a field for years.
Okay.
It's covered in a thin layer of soil and dust.
Right. I can picture that.
To the naked eye, to your eye, and to the public's eye, it looks like fertile ground. It looks just like the soil next to it. So you plant your seed there, you donate the $1 million, you do the big public gesture.
It looks like I've planted a seed. The input is there.
The seed is sitting in that dust, but then comes the wabil.
Wabil.
Heavy rain. A downpour. Now, normally in agriculture, heavy rain is a blessing. It's the activator. It wakes the seed up.
Sure.
But in this scenario, on the dusty rock,
If there's no root system,
if there's no depth,
the rain washes the dust right off the smooth rock. The seed flows into the gutter. And you are left with exactly what you started with. A bare, hard, unyielding rock.
that's a vivid image.
It's tragic, right? And here's the code. The dust that looked like soil is defined explicitly as two things: man and atta.
Give me the translation.
Man is reminders of generosity. It's saying, hey, remember that time I helped you? You owe me.
Ah, so using your charity as leverage.
Yes, it's pride. Okay, and atta?
Atta is injury. It refers to hurting the recipient's dignity. The source says kind words and respecting people's honor is better than charity that diminishes dignity.
So if I give the $1 million, but I make the people feel small while I do it, or if I do it just to repair my public image.
Transaction canceled. Zero return.
Zero.
Zero. The rain, which represents the test of reality or the moment of recompense, exposes the fake soil.
So the rain is the audit.
Precisely. The showing off, the injury to dignity, that's the rock. It prevents the root system from ever taking hold. And the analysis here is crucial. Sincerity and the preservation of human dignity are the conditions for the algorithm to run.
So you can't hack it, because the system isn't just measuring the cash value of the input.
No.
It's analyzing the molecular structure of the intent.
It's a high-fidelity system. It knows the difference between a seed planted in real soil and a seed just hiding in dust. It requires deep soil, which implies deep sincerity, to hold the water.
This shifts the whole conversation. We started with unmerited favor, which felt random. Then we went to transactional math, which felt cold. But now it feels like character.
Keep pulling on that thread.
Well, if the system demands sincerity to work, then the grace isn't just about what you get back. It's about who you have to be to even start the process.
Right.
You have to be someone who actually cares. You can't fake the data.
And that leads us to the ultimate question. What is the payout?
Right. If the algorithm runs, if I give sincerely, I don't injure dignity, I plant the seed in good soil, what is the 700x return? Is it just more money? Do I get a bigger house?
Because if it's just give money to get money.
We're back to a prosperity gospel thing, which feels cheap.
That's the limited view. And the sources address this beautifully. They take us to Surah Al-Baqarah 2.265. The payout is something called Khudi.
Khudi. Now, I've heard this term in philosophy. It's an Urdu Persian term, often associated with the philosopher poet Iqbal, right? Selfhood.
Yes, self-actualization, or the developed self. The Quran describes the result of this sincere giving with another metaphor, one that contrasts the dusty rock. It calls it a lofty garden.
A garden high up on a hill.
Jannah, a garden situated high up. But here's the specific engineering detail that matters.
Okay.
It has internal springs.
Internal springs. That implies it doesn't need a hose. It doesn't need a river diverting to it from miles away.
Exactly. The source describes a state where the self becomes self-sustaining. The verse says regarding this garden, if heavy rain falls, it doubles its yield. But if no heavy rain falls, a light sprinkle is sufficient.
Wait, pause there. That's the resilience piece.
It is. Think about the dusty rock again. The dusty rock needed the illusion of soil, but it failed under the rain. The rain destroyed it. But the lofty garden, it thrives under the rain. It doubles its yield.
But even if the rain stops.
Even if the heavy blessings stop. Even if the external validation dries up. Even if the world stops clapping for you. A light sprinkle? The morning dew is enough to keep it green.
Because it has internal springs. It's tapping into the water table from below.
This is the climate of grace. The analysis here in the sources is profound. It suggests that a developed self, one that has practiced sincere giving, one that has adhered to the algorithm of Rahma, creates its own microclimate.
You become weatherproof.
You become the source of your own stability. The grace isn't that God keeps throwing money at you. The grace is that you have become the kind of person who is permanently receptive to divine favor. You have built an engine of joy and stability inside your own chest.
That's actually a really beautiful pivot. It answers the transactional worry. You aren't buying a ticket to heaven. You are building the capacity to be in heaven.
You're building the capacity to sustain heaven. The source says this state makes one permanently receptive. It's a change in your state of being. You move from being a dusty rock, hard, superficial, fragile, to a lofty garden, rooted, resourceful, resilient.
So the 700x return is actually the expansion of the self.
It is the expansion of your capacity to exist, to withstand, and to give.
But let me play the empiricist one more time. I have to be the buzzkill.
Please, it's your job.
This all sounds great. Internal gardens, 700x returns, resilience. But the system we're describing, it comes with a lot of rules.
Right.
We mentioned the terms of service earlier with the spam filter. But the Quran is full of laws. Don't do this, don't eat that, distribute inheritance this way, don't drink wine.
The legislation part of the legislative power.
Right. If this is a mercy system, why all the red tape? Why does it feel so restrictive? If I want to be free, if I want to self-actualize, shouldn't I be able to do whatever I want? Laws usually feel like adding weight to the pack, not removing it.
And that's the interface problem. We tend to view laws as walls. We see a do not enter sign and we think, you're trying to control me.
Exactly. Don't fence me in.
But the source material argues that Rahma manifests as guidance, specifically to lighten the burden.
Lighten the burden. How does don't do X lighten my burden?
Look at Surah An-Nisa 4.28. The premise is stark. The human being has been created weak.
Ouch. Thanks for the vote of confidence.
It's not an insult. It's a diagnostic. It's an engineering spec.
Yeah.
We're prone to impulse. We're prone to short-sightedness. We're prone to self-destruction. We eat things that kill us. We buy things we can't afford. We hurt people we love because we're angry in the moment.
Fair points.
Yeah.
I have definitely eaten things that tried to kill me.
So in this context, the law isn't a wall meant to trap you. It's a guardrail on a mountain pass.
That's a very different image. A guardrail keeps me from falling off the cliff.
The sources highlight verses 4.29 and 4.3. Do not consume one another's wealth wrongfully. Do not destroy one another, and thus do not destroy your own self.
So the prohibition against theft or fraud, it isn't just God is watching and he's mad. It's if you do this, you will break the machine.
You will crash the system. If you consume wealth wrongfully, you create a society of distrust. If you kill, you create a cycle of vengeance. The source calls these prohibitions acts of mercy designed to prevent system failure.
So following the rules
Is the act of receiving mercy.
Whoa, okay, let me restate that to make sure I get it. Following the map is the mercy.
Yes, because without the map, you walk off the cliff. The grace is that you were given the map at all. Imagine being dropped in a minefield without a map. That is a lack of grace.
Right.
Being handed a map that says, step here, don't step there, that is the ultimate kindness.
That connects back to the active versus passive thing. If the map is the grace, me just sitting on the couch waiting for a helicopter doesn't help. I have to walk the path.
You have to walk.
Yeah.
Surah An-Nisa 4.32 is explicit. Seek out of God's bounty.
Seek. That's an active verb.
It counters the passive view completely. The listener is urged to be proactive. The law of recompense requires an input to trigger the multiplier. You have to plant the seed. You have to respect the dignity of the recipient. You have to avoid the guardrails. You have to do the work.
And if you do?
Then the system yields. The dusty rock is washed clean. No, the dusty rock is avoided entirely. You build the lofty garden, you get the 700x return, not just in your bank account, but in your character.
So let's bring this all the way back to where we started. The frustration with the lottery.
The unmerited favor.
We started with the idea that grace is this random, chaotic thing where God picks winners and losers, and I'm sitting there with my calculator trying to figure out why.
And we've arrived at a view where Rahma is a high-fidelity operating system.
It's an algorithm. It requires valid inputs, sincerity, effort, infaq.
And it guarantees outputs, the multiplier effect, the development of the self.
It moves us from a philosophical debate about who gets saved to a mechanical understanding of how the universe works. It's the law of recompense.
And I think that's a more empowering place to be. It respects human agency. It says your choices matter. It says your sincerity matters. You aren't just a prop in a divine play. You're an operator of the divine interface.
And that final image, the internal garden.
Khudi.
That's the one that's going to stick with me, because I think we all feel like the dusty rock sometimes.
Sure.
We put on a show, we look good on the outside, but we're terrified that if the rain comes, we'll be exposed.
It's a common human fear.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome is just the fear of being a dusty rock.
Right. But the solution isn't to hide from the rain. It's to deepen the soil.
Precisely. And that raises a provocative thought to leave our listeners with.
What's that?
We spend so much time looking for grace out there. We want the promotion. We want the lucky break. We want the rain to fall on our fields. We're constantly checking the forecast.
You want the external validation. We want that helicopter rescue.
But if the sources are right, perhaps the greatest grace isn't what happens to you, but what happens in you.
If you build that internal garden.
If you build that internal garden, do you even need the rain of external validation anymore? If you have internal springs, does it matter if the market crashes? Does it matter if you don't get the likes?
You become the source of your own climate?
You become the weather. You bring the rain with you.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to be thinking about my own dusty rocks and my own internal plumbing very differently this week.
As you should. Check your soil depth.
Thanks for diving in with us. This was dense, but necessary.
Always a pleasure to decode the code with you.
And to you listening, check your inputs. Don't be a rock, be a garden. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.